overtime rule advantageous for employees? And if it is, why? And if it's not, why not?
This is Bob Brody. If we're talking about the overtime rule in terms of just paying the employees time and a half after 40, obviously I think there are some big advantages to the employees. The only issue I would say is sometimes it can in fact be cheaper for an employer, and some of our clients will do this, where they will literally try to say, we're not going to have overtime. We'll hire more employees, but we don't want to end up having a tremendous amount. Now, I don't know anyone who does that for just a couple hours here or there, because usually there are other costs to having an employee besides wages, and it is cheaper to have one employee than two in many cases in terms of just the general overhead. But if you're talking about an employee who's going to be getting 20 or 30 hours of overtime, well, frankly, I don't think employers do that as much if they can help it. And of course, there is an issue. Sometimes we have no choice where an employer simply can't staff up. And if you're in an industry where you're having problems staffing up, then the bottom line is I think you're going to be forced to pay that overtime, and you'll just have no choice, and that'll be a good thing for the employees. But sometimes I think the employees miss out on the overtime because it's just so costly. The employers will just hire a second person.
Yeah, Bob, this is Scott. I think you're right on that. Obviously, being paid time and a half of your hourly wage, whatever it is a benefit to the employees if they can get the hours. But I've had the same experience. I've had clients decide to go to agencies to get employees where they don't necessarily have to pay the benefits. And I've had clients that, while it may not be compliant with law, and I didn't advise this, but they might bring in an individual as an independent contractor to pick up the hours so their employees don't have to go over that 40-hour threshold. So, I've seen employers do anything they can do to avoid paying an employee overtime, even though employees would be more than happy many times to work as many hours as they can to get that extra payment.
Tabitha?
Yeah, I agree that if you are willing to work more than 40 hours, and I certainly have some clients that have people, at least their perception is that they don't want to put in the additional time. But if you put in more than 40 hours, I do think it is advantageous for employees to get paid time and a half, assuming that they're hourly and non-exempt. If you have exempt employees, it obviously doesn't monetarily benefit you. But of course, if you want to put in more than what we think of as a traditional work week, then I think it's advantageous to employees to get paid extra for that.